I'm driving through the countryside, and honestly, there's no place in the world like Jamaica. The hills roll like waves, the trees stretch high into the sky, the breeze kisses your skin, and it's just pure peace. But even with all this beauty, people always ask, like, why would anyone ever leave a place like this? And for those who move to what we call big foreign, which is the US, Canada, and the UK, why is it that so many never ever come back? I'm going to talk about it now. I'm here with Sean, and we're going to have a little reason. So ride with me, feel the vibe, share your own thoughts in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. The good, the bad, and everything in between. Alright, let's go.
Rochielin traveling the four corner, Rochielin vlogging on no border. Rochielin plant your man banana, Rochielin vlogging on no drama. Rochielin, 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 like, share, subscribe. Rochielin, 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 channel the worldwide.
Rochielin. Quote of the day: stop waiting to feel ready. Ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. Let's go. Before I even go into why Jamaicans migrate, let's talk about something important. Jamaica is beautiful, no questions asked. And I don't just mean the beaches and the mountains. I'm talking about the way of life, the culture, the food, the sense of community. So we ask this honest question, like, why would anyone want to leave a place like this? Let's look at the positive, because they're real. You see the vibes, from the culture to the people to the energy. There's nothing like Jamaican energy. From the music playing at the corner shop to the random reasoning session with strangers, we have a vibe that's just unmatched. People from all over the world come here just to feel that freedom and creativity we live with daily. Jamaicans are naturally warm, funny, and full of life, even in tough situations. Like, sometimes we just not take nothing serious. It's good, but we just not take nothing serious. Like, a party could I keep down the street and while somebody just dead. And then on the day of the funeral, a party I keep saying me. Like, sometimes I wonder about us, but I think that's what keeps us going. For vibes, you can always tell when it's Friday in Jamaica. There's something in the atmosphere that just says Friday. I don't know if I the smell of the food, I don't know if I how the place look, but Friday just feel like Friday. The weekend feel like weekend. Another positive for Jamaica is the food. Like, where else are you gonna find oxtail and rice and peas, curry goat, fresh fish by the sea, ackee and sawfish on a Sunday morning?
The thing is, you can find it, but it just won't taste the same. Especially if you live in some states like New York, you go in certain boroughs, you can definitely find oxtail and rice and peas per Sunday. However,
Right.
It just something different about the flavor of the food. And everybody who live in these places can attest to this. It tastes a bit different.
It tastes a lot different. No matter how much you season it, it just not taste the exact same way like it would in Jamaica.
Right, you can dump a seasoning in the pot and it still won't come out the same.
Right. So yeah, in Jamaica you get it the real way.
In fact, one other thing I noticed cooking in the US is that you have to use more powder seasoning. And when you cook in Jamaica, you use less and it tastes so much better.
Right. I don't know, something about the flavors there of the seasoning itself. I don't know for the earth, the ground,
maybe
where
it's
it growing
animal,
or the meat itself. I don't know.
Maybe the animal them eat different food.
I don't know what it is, but the food is definitely a positive. Another positive about Jamaica is the community. Because one thing about Jamaica is if your roof start leak, a neighbor might come and help you fix that roof. If you're sick, somebody might help bring you soup. And I mean, I know we find it most of that in the countryside, but we feel like it's all about in Jamaica more than it is.
Well, in Jamaica, if you're sick, you might not get soup, but you will get tea. Somebody will bring you tea.
No, man, you get chicken soup too, man. Chicken food soup.
Yes.
You're definitely gonna get tea, because we have a tea for everything, no matter what it is. But it's that community, that village-like mentality that exists,
right,
that make us so special.
Right.
You know, there's also the simplicity of a slower, freer lifestyle. In Jamaica, even if things are hard financially, a lot of people still feel more free. You can plant your own food, you can walk to the shop, you live in nature, you hear the birds in the morning, and you not hear sirens like you do in like places like New York City. From you wake up till you go to bed, there's siren. You know, there's a slower pace here that feels more human and a little less stressful, even when you're broke.
Right. You might be in Jamaica and not have any money and your heart just feel happy. Your heart just feel at peace. Your heart feel like there's no worries.
Right.
I want the bills and my pile up.
Right. Some say I worklessness, but honestly, I don't know. It's like we'll find a way to be less stressful. You know, we'll find a way to survive. You know what Jamaica is about? Survival at the end of the day.
Right, right.
You know, another positive about Jamaica is the beauty. The nature, the weather, it's just space to breathe. And let's talk about the sunshine. The breeze, like I said, the rivers, the beaches. In Jamaica, you can look around and see beauty almost everywhere. Whether it's in the hills of St. Elizabeth or on the coast of Portland, the air does feel fresh. At least fresher than a lot of the more industrialized places. The skies somewhat feel wider. I don't know. And I get that people that migrate sometimes miss that space to just breathe. You know? But with all this beauty, it begs the bigger question, like, why leave? If Jamaica is this amazing, why do people still leave?
The question of the day.
Right. The answer, I think, is layered because sometimes the love for a place is not enough for some people. Sometimes people feel like they can't thrive here, even though they love it deeply. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Why leave a place like Jamaica for somewhere like the US, UK, Canada, or anywhere else in the world? And I think one of the biggest reasons why people leave is for better job opportunities.
That's one reason.
Yeah. Let's be real. Life in Jamaica, even though it's beautiful, sometimes in some cases it can be hard. A lot of people grow up watching their parents struggle just to get by.
Right.
The jobs, they don't always pay well. And even with a degree, many young people still can't find good employment in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know they have a lot of call center works right now. And some people feel like after studying for 4 years, it's... what's the word? Some people feel like it's an insult for them to work in a call center setting with a 4-year degrees and a loan to pay back.
Right, right. And it's not solely about the call center, you know. It's about the wages you get for working at the call center.
Right.
Because I'm sure if the call center wages were good enough, or if the people felt like the wages equate to the degree that they went to college for, then they wouldn't have a problem with working at the call center.
Right.
But if they can't pay back the loan, or they're going to struggle to pay back the loan working at a call center, when that is mainly their option after college,
right,
it's not going to be something that they're going to welcome.
Agreed, totally agreed. And you know, I've seen where people have left what they call like big jobs in Jamaica, like big positions, to go to the US or other places to work in more smaller positions.
Right, yeah,
and even those smaller positions a lot of times pay more than they do for these bigger positions in Jamaica.
Right.
I don't think you get what I'm saying.
You're right. You have teachers who left Jamaica, come to the US and working in the grocery store or working at McDonald's, and they're making more than they would make being a teacher in Jamaica.
Right. So there's definitely that where people think, okay, the land of opportunity as America is sold as, or as these other countries are sold as, let me go and see if I can find an opportunity, because even though my country is beautiful, there are no opportunities there. And that's just, I think, how some people feel.
Right. Growing up in Jamaica, it can feel hopeless at times, especially if you didn't have the opportunities that some Jamaicans have, because to be honest, some Jamaicans are good. They wouldn't leave Jamaica for no reason at all. They are financially okay,
Right.
and opportunities fall in their lap, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some people who don't see no hope for opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see no way out of their situation.
Right.
And for that reason, if the US is open to accepting them, that's one way out for them.
Right. Totally agree. I can see that. Another reason why some Jamaicans leave that beautiful place is to support their family back home. Some people say that they'll be the sacrifice basically for their family.
Right.
Because of these better opportunities that they're after, they think that, okay, let me go and do the thing so that I can be the one supporting whoever it is I'm leaving behind. I can send back money home. I can finally build a house, pay some school fee, some things that they otherwise couldn't have done if they were still there.
You're right. Some people never had a driver's license until they came to the US or went to the UK
Right.
or Canada. They just
Right.
didn't see any hope in even owning a vehicle.
Right.
So coming to the US, the fact that they can afford to get a vehicle, maybe even rent an apartment or a house, is a lot more than what they would be able to do in Jamaica.
Correct.
And you come in here, renting your house, you have a car that you purchase or you're paying for. Whatever job you have, the job could be as small as, like I said, McDonald's, but you can afford your rent and you can afford a car and you can afford to send back some money home to help the family with the bills. And some
Right.
people even leave their family, meaning kids,
The kids.
leave their kids just to see if they can make this happen, do the same thing that I just said about work and send back the money, and while still paying for their bills in the US.
Right. Right. The ultimate sacrifice. And hats off to whoever have tried.
Here's a point too. You see, one reason why it's so easy for the Jamaicans who leave to go to the US, to go to England, to go to the Canada, one reason why they leave is because in living in their situation they were living in Jamaica, they couldn't afford, or they had the perception that they couldn't afford to go see the actual beauty of Jamaica. A lot of these people only know the neighborhood that they're from.
Right.
Only know Halfway Tree, only know downtown.
Right.
A lot of people don't go to the countryside to actually take in the beauty. A lot of people don't even go to the beaches, especially now that the beaches are all privatized and you have to pay for every one of them. It's going to be even worse. People aren't going to experience these things,
Right.
because a lot of them cannot afford to, or they think they cannot afford to. And so because they cannot afford to do these things, they're not exposed to them, so they don't know of this beauty.
Right.
They don't have the knowledge of this beauty. And so it's easy for them. America just looks shinier because they don't know the beauty that's there.
Right.
And sometimes when you come to America, you go back to Jamaica, you end up doing some things outside of what you usually do in your neighborhood, and that's when you start to see the actual beauty of Jamaica.
Correct. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that can relate to that. If you can relate, comment below and tell me your experience. Because I know in a lot of cases, some people don't see or even appreciate the beauty or what Jamaica has to offer until you leave, go somewhere else, and then that's when you go back and you just say, oh, but Jamaica never so bad after all. Right, comment below. I don't know if you're hearing my baby laughing in the background, but he's having a time. By the way, if you haven't done so already, now is a great time to go get your bottle of Jamaican black castor oil from Jamaican at www.jamaican.com, especially if you're dealing with dry hair, split ends, any form of skin condition. The Jamaican black castor oil will help take care of that for you. There's also natural herbal soap bars, and they're there for a limited time, so go get you some as quickly as possible because they won't be there for long. And of course, you can get your Jamaica map necklaces, your Jamaica inspired things, all at Jamaican.com, at www.jamaican.com. A link will be in the description bar below and in the comment section, so click it and happy shopping. Another reason why Jamaicans tend to leave for places like the US, UK, Canada, and just any other country than Jamaica is for healthcare, safety, and education. Access to hospitals, medication, and better school, in some people's opinion, is a big reason to leave. Especially for those that have kids, they start thinking about the bigger picture and how to give them a better life. Healthcare in a lot of countries are free, and so people tend to leave to capitalize on that. Some people believe that the healthcare is just more easily accessible in other countries than it is in Jamaica.
To some extent.
To some extent. I'm not saying it is or it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Again, these are just reasons why people have stated why they have left.
Right.
And for safety, people can argue that Jamaica is or isn't safe. But I like to say that no matter where you are in the world, there are safe places and there are unsafe places.
Right.
So you just have to learn to avoid the unsafe ones.
And it's safe to say that Jamaica is getting safer. And 2025 has proven that.
Yeah.
This year, so far, we're in April, and the crime rate has been the lowest it has been up until April in many years.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
And so, for those people who are thinking about coming back home, moving back home, retiring at home, maybe now is a good time to do so.
It sounds like a bad idea. But yeah, these are some of the stated reasons for people leaving. Another reason why people leave is because of the connection, family and relationships that they have in these other countries. In a lot of cases, they're mostly in the US. I feel like we have a bigger diaspora in the US than any other country. I may be wrong.
That's probably right.
But you have some people who marry someone in the US, and that's the reason they leave. Some people already have family in that country and they leave. Some people have somebody filing for them, a job for them, and there's some kind of connection that made them leave. It's not necessarily because Jamaica was a bad place or they didn't like Jamaica. It's just that that's where their connection is, that's where their family is. So it's an incentive to go be with their family, their loved ones.
Right, that's a good point.
Yeah, I want to say though that while these other countries present as shiny and they have all these good things, these opportunities and all of that people are chasing, and not in all cases they are good.
Right.
You know, a lot of people experience what we know as culture shock when they go to these new places that are very different from what we know Jamaica to be. Let's talk about countries that are cold. Or even if you go to the US, states that are cold.
Right.
Jamaica does not experience the level of cold that some places experience. And no matter how you describe it to a Jamaican that has never left the country, they never truly understand, because we just don't. Like, I thought I was cold some nights in Jamaica. I thought there are nights I was cold to where I had to put on a sweater and, hoodie or whatever and get warm. But it wasn't until I traveled outside of Jamaica that I realized that I was not cold yet. And boy, that shock is a real shock. So there's definitely that culture shock in different places, for the weather, or even just the general hospitality of people. In Jamaica, we're accustomed to people saying good morning, good night, and things like that, especially in the countryside, and especially in the older days. You have some places you go across the world, everybody just walk with the whole head straight, and there's no greeting, there's no nothing that kind of thing you're not used to. You're right.
And when I first came to the US, I used to walk past everybody saying good morning, good afternoon, and all these things, and I realized I'm the only one saying it, so I stopped.
Right? And then there's the other shock of the things feeling so fast-paced, because Jamaica is a much slower pace, easygoing, airy, as they like to say.
Right.
So you come to this first world countries and it's a much faster pace, it's much more go, and a lot of time people get exhausted because, again, that's not what you grew up knowing. Right.
That's definitely one of the big culture shocks for the United States in particular, because in the US, there are more opportunities for jobs, higher paying jobs that you might not have in Jamaica. But however, these opportunities come at a cost.
Right.
It comes at your freedom, it feels like. And when you're in the US, it's like So for people still living in Jamaica, this is what it's like when you're in the US, chasing these opportunities that everybody wants to run away to go to the US to chase. You're constantly working. You can afford a house, you can afford a car, but you have to be working your butt off in order to pay for these things. Yes, it's available and you have access to it, but you have to be working non-stop like a robot to get these things. Now, you might have a shift that's 8 maybe to 12 hours. You work that shift, you get home, and when you get home, you're going to eat some food and do it again the next day. There's no time to enjoy this money that you're working so hard for. So when your people in the US or any other foreign countries send you this money so you can go enjoy yourself, buy your food, and you can relax and eat your food, there's no relaxing when you come here to chase this opportunity. So when Rochielin said sacrifice, one family member usually sacrifice, that's a sacrifice.
Right. You are absolutely correct. There's this other shock that I know people face when they go to the US or other countries, is that nobody really cares if you were quote unquote somebody in Jamaica. You could have been somebody with the highest position in the whatever. When you get, it's that mentality of like a small fish in a big pond. In Jamaica, you could be a big fish in that small pond that exists in Jamaica. When you come to these other places, you're now a small fish in this big pond, and a lot of people tend to sink because they're no longer what they were back then.
I mean, you can come here as a prime minister and be nobody.
Right.
Because nobody knows there's no prime minister and you're not the prime minister for them.
Right. The other thing, like what Sean says, yes, you have all these opportunities, but it comes at a cost. A lot of Jamaicans, when they migrate, they end up working 2, sometimes 3 jobs.
Right.
Sometimes they barely get time to rest, and it's just a constant hustle between rent and bills and taxes and childcare. It's not the paradise that people imagine when they leave.
Right.
It's good.
It's good that you can work.
You can.
That you're able to. But it's very stressful at the end of the day to keep up with all the bills. And so when you ask your family member for money and they only send what they can send, if it's even a $50, that's just what they can send, because while they can have the house and they can have the car, it's gonna cost them to have it.
Right. And
even with all this stress, the Jamaicans in the US or in the UK, they still don't want to come back to Jamaica. Why is that?
Right.
No.
And one of the reasons for that is that, stability. You have the stability and you get in a routine and you get used to the first world things, because you have access to these newer technologies, these newer things, this faster pace of life. While it may be a con for some, it's still a pro. Right? You get used to all of these things. So it's hard for some people to readjust to a slower paced life. It's hard for some people to go back to the unpredictability that we spoke about earlier, where you get paid, but the pay don't reach nowhere same way. While in the US, the pay may reach somewhere.
Exactly.
You just have to work hard for it,
right,
or a lot for it. In Jamaica, you may work less, and so is the pay. It's also less. So you get used to having more, and then it's hard to readjust.
Right.
For some people to that lifestyle overall. Right? Some people get used to, let me say, the first world things where the roads are more properly maintained. In Jamaica, you know how that is. I don't need to say nothing about that.
Right. The pothole, them, every 4 years we hear say them are fix, and we're still driving and have to fix buy tire every other week. Right. And then, in other countries, the light don't get cut off as often as it does in Jamaica. Light not go away every minute. You're right. That's actually another third world problem.
Right.
We'll have the light cutting off quite often. And
light gone, water gone.
Exactly.
You have more stability in these other countries. Despite having to work so hard for it, at least things work on a schedule. Things work. And another thing is, when us Jamaicans come to the US, we still keep up with
the news in Jamaica. We want to know what's happening in Jamaica, so keep up to date, most of us. And what the news mainly report is anytime someone dies.
Right.
And so, because that negativity sells, they get more views on it. That's what they're going to report. And because that's what the people in the US is always seeing, they think, boy, if I go Jamaica, as soon as I step out the door, I'm going to get shot in my head, stabbed in my belly, and I die.
Right.
And that's the perception they have of Jamaica.
Right.
But unless you go there often, and you realize this place is just marvelous. Not saying these things don't happen to people.
Right. But it's not on the scale that it's reported. There's far more good happening than there are bad. But the news would report otherwise.
Right. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, subscribe now if you want to see all the positive things about Jamaica.
Right.
And the thing is, I believe there are many Jamaicans in these other foreign countries who want to come back to Jamaica, who want to retire in Jamaica. And because of these reports of crime, slower economy, what I describe the banking system and then backward thing there.
Backward system.
Backward government systems. These things keep hindering their decision to come back to Jamaica, retire, and live a peaceful life like they would love to.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, whether you stay or you leave, the love for Jamaica really never fades. Some people leave chasing the opportunities, some stay because they believe in building here, and some they dream of one day coming back home. It's definitely not a simple decision. It's layered, it's personal, and everybody's story is different. Now, I want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. If you had the choice, would you stay in Jamaica? Would you move overseas? Or if you have, would you ever come back home? Tell us why in the comments below, and remember, there's no judgment with just a reason. Thank you for riding with us today. Let me know also in the comment section if you guys like this format of video. Just easy, chatting, relaxing, and a reason with each other. Just want to say stay blessed, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Peace.
Rochielin traveling the four corner. Rochielin vlogging on no border. Rochielin plant your man banana. Rochielin vlogging on no drama. Rochielin, 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 Rochielin. Like, share, subscribe. Rochielin, 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 Rochielin. Channel the worldwide.
Rochielin.